The 2020 NBA season was unlike anything we've ever seen. Empty arenas, daily COVID tests, players locked in hotel rooms away from their families. No home court advantage, just basketball, pure and raw. And at the end of it all, one team stood tall, the Los Angeles Lakers. But now, years later, that title is once again under fire. And this time, it's not just coming from Twitter trolls or salty rival fans. It's coming straight from a high-ranking NBA executive. Philadelphia 76ers president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, just made headlines with a bold, controversial statement. In an interview, Morey said that many people around the league privately believe the Lakers' 2020 championship doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Let that sink in. A top exec in the NBA, throwing shade at LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the entire Lakers squad that grinded their way through one of the most emotionally and physically taxing environments in league history. Morey didn't stop there. He went on to say that while the league should be proud of how it handled the pandemic, the champion will forever be marked by an asterisk. That comment instantly sparked a firestorm, because now it's not just fans debating in barbershops or Reddit threads. This is an executive with power and influence adding fuel to a very sensitive fire. But before we dive deeper, smash that like button if you love the NBA and want the real stories behind the headlines. Hit subscribe so you never miss the drama, the breakdowns, and the behind-the-scenes that matter. And of course, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with Morey, or is he way off base? Period. Now, let's really talk about it. For context, the 2020 NBA season was paused due to the pandemic. When it resumed, the league created the now infamous NBA bubble in Orlando. All teams, players, coaches, and staff were isolated in a Disney World complex. There were no fans, no travel, no distractions, just high-stakes basketball in an eerily quiet arena. The conditions were brutal. Players were away from their families for months. They were confined to hotel rooms with minimal recreational activity. There was daily COVID testing, strict isolation rules, and absolutely no normalcy. It wasn't just physically draining, it was emotionally taxing. Yet, despite all of that, the Lakers thrived. Led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they powered through the playoffs, ultimately defeating the Miami Heat in 6 games to secure the franchise's 17th championship. For LeBron, it was his 4th title. For the Lakers, it was a triumphant return to glory. But here's the thing. Every time that title comes up, there's always that one word floating in the background. Asterisk. Should the 2020 title count the same as any other? Or does it deserve that little star next to it, indicating something different? Morey thinks so. He claims that everyone he speaks to in the league agrees that it just doesn't truly hold up. But let's pump the brakes for a second. First off, Daryl Morey has never won a championship. Not with the Rockets, not with the Sixers, not even an NBA Finals appearance on his resume. His most notable success? Winning Executive of the Year in 2018. That's impressive, no doubt, but it's not a ring. So when someone who's never held the Larry O'Brien trophy starts criticizing how others earned theirs, people take notice. And not always in a good way. In fact, others interviewed in the same report pushed back hard against Morey's view. Several players and insiders said the 2020 championship may have been one of the toughest ever to win. Why? Because it stripped away all the variables. No travel, no crowd momentum, no home court advantage. It was the most level playing field in NBA history, just basketball. And let's not forget the mental toll. The entire world was dealing with the unknown. Social justice protests were unfolding. The players weren't just competing. They were carrying emotional weight most seasons don't even touch. LeBron himself spoke on how difficult the bubble was. He called it the most challenging environment of his career. And that's coming from a guy who's been to 10 NBA Finals. Critics argue that the lack of crowd pressure or hostile arenas helped the Lakers, but flip that around. What about the emotional isolation? The lack of adrenaline, the mental strain of being away from loved ones during a global crisis? You could argue that made winning even harder. So, is Morey out of line? Or just saying what others are afraid to admit? Maybe it's a little bit of both. Sure, there are probably people in the league who side with him, who feel that the bubble wasn't real basketball, who think the circumstances created an unnatural outcome. But there's also a large group of players and coaches who believe the opposite, that the 2020 title was more legitimate because it tested focus, endurance, and mental toughness like never before. What's undeniable is that the Lakers came out of that environment as champions, and nobody handed it to them. They beat the Trailblazers, the Rockets, the Nuggets, and finally, the Heat. They faced adversity, injuries, and pressure, and they delivered. So when someone like Morey downplays that achievement, it's no surprise that Lakers fans, and plenty of others, are ready to clap back. And let's be honest, there's also the perception that Morey is speaking from frustration. Since joining the Sixers in 2020, he's failed to get the team past the second round. And with his stars, like Joel Embiid and now possibly a disgruntled James Harden, his own team has questions to answer. Maybe it's easier to criticize another team's ring than to reflect on why your own roster hasn't reached those heights. In the end, this debate will rage on. Was the 2020 title different? Sure. Was it any less meaningful? That depends who you ask. But what's clear is that the Lakers earned that championship. And for LeBron James, who's proven himself on every stage imaginable, it was just another chapter in an already legendary career. So let the debates continue. But don't forget, banners hang forever. Thanks for watching. If you love the NBA, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe for more, and drop your take in the comments. Is Daryl Morey right about the bubble title? Or are the Lakers getting disrespected? We'll see you in the next one.